Oh yeah, my wife, yeah, she's good.
Yeah. So talking about your wife for a second, okay? Don't make it too personal, but on a serious note, you are a family business. I love
Yes.
talking to people, husband and wife teams, or whether it's more than two members in a family working together. What's that been like? Building a family business with your life partner, with your spouse. What works well? What are some of the challenges? What tips would you give to the viewers who could be in the same situation or thinking about going into business with their other half?
Yeah, well, you could go, don't do it. Just don't do it if you want to save your relationship. But I do think we need to be mindful of working with each other. I mean, for me, as I say, I only started my own business because no one would give me a job. So it wasn't this vision. I wasn't an entrepreneur. I suppose that's developed and evolved, but it didn't start like that. And my wife, I'm a social scientist. She's a biologist. And so, as I say, wired very differently to me. And she worked in a hospital, and then she'd do a little bit of part-time work in the business. But as the business grew, she got more and more involved.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things that I value massively about her is very much, she's got a much more stable personality than me. I'm a bit more up and down emotionally. So my highs are higher, my lows can be lower. I think Helen is much more in equilibrium about her sort of like personality. Also, she's far more analytical than me. So I get excited. Hey, I've got this idea. And I'm thinking blue, white, and green, blue, white, and green. That's my side of the beach ball. That's all the colours there are. And then my wife's going, yeah, but what about red, yellow, and orange? And if I'm honest, at times, her challenge of my ideas, which ultimately adds so much value and depth and insight, because my ideas become much more formulated and matured and have some greater value. But I'll be honest with you, Reg, when she first says things from her side of the beach ball, in the early days, I just thought she's been negative. And that's how, and I'm thinking, where's your enthusiasm for my idea? You're just being negative, and that could cause conflict. What I've had to stop and understand is, one, she's just got she's wired differently. She sees the world differently from me. She has a diversity of opinion and perspective, which is absolutely crucial to my business going forward. But initially, it's hard. My daughter is wired a bit more like me. If I run a couple of chapters past my daughter, she's almost like dancing around the room going, this is amazing, this is amazing. I love it, Dad, I love it, Dad. My wife's going, that's interesting. And I'm like, come on, Helen, feed my ego. Tell me how amazing it is. But you know what? If my wife was like me, our business would not be as good as it is. Yeah. Because I need someone who sees the world differently, who's wired differently. Does that add value? Yes. But does it also come with some challenges along the way? Got to be honest, of course it does.
Yeah, that's great. Really, really good insights there. So in order to understand each other, those opposites, like we call it, we've got it in our book that we published, which is your DNA profile. I used to laugh about this with my wife years ago because, I say this in a humorous way, not in a serious way. I used to call her the dream killer. And the only reason, and not because she was, negative, it was because every time I'd come up with the idea, I'm good to go, she'll go, but, where's the detailed plan?
Yes.
I'm like, what do you mean? I said, the world needs this. I'm good to go, right? Everything's already in there. I'm done. I've even got to the finish line in my head.
Yeah.
No. Where's all the details? And so, I got to a point where when I first started as an entrepreneur and used to bounce things past her, I'd be like, there's no point discussing it with her because she'll just kill it off. But in reality, having lost millions and millions of dollars in my entrepreneurial career, the partnership is all about, I will make the money, but I won't touch it afterwards. So she's the one who handles the money. She decides what happens next. She's the one who will give me a little bit back to go and experiment with my next crazy idea. So I think, I really get what you were saying, Paul, but to bring this back to you is, how do you discover that? What should you do to find out those traits and those opposite areas to make the partnership work? Because otherwise you could end up with a lot of arguments. Someone could even get divorced off the back of this.
Oh, I'm sure they have done. I think I think there's several, if you think sort of like behaviors, characteristics, even values. I think one thing to be aware of as an entrepreneur, and as a leader, you can be so focused on the future. You know, one of the things is self-awareness is massively important. And I think because of the kind of topics I talk about, and I wrote another book called How to Succeed with People. My wife said to me recently, you should read that sometime. But I think I go for that sense of, I try and think, okay, from my stand of the beach ball, I see myself as a blue, white and green, but it's good to see how other people see me. So self-awareness. And I think another invaluable trait is humility. Keep that sense of being open-minded, be willing to be wrong, be willing to be challenged, be willing to keep on learning, growing, discovering, keep your curiosity. And I think through things like different personality styles models, I talk about in the Sumo book, cheerleader, commander, carer, and thinker. And by nature, I'm more of a commander, cheerleader. My wife is more of a thinker, carer. And just that as a, you know, and it's only a very simplified model. I don't want to get too scientific about it. It's food for thought, but it raises your awareness. And I think having that humility to know, all right, Paul, you might be on stage, mate, and you might be the one that's signing the books for people and getting the acclaim and the applause. But you know what? If things weren't running well in the office, if the logistics weren't right, if you weren't running your ideas by other people who see things differently, you wouldn't be on stage. So it is definitely a recognition we are a team and we're in this together.
Yeah,